All right, let's see. Oh, wow. That's so much better. All right, now we've got volumes. Maybe too much volume, so I'm going to bring that down just a titch. Bring that down. All righty. That's so much better. Oh, yeah, so much better. You are right, other me. Hoi, hoi, veya. Okay, so we've got that going on. All right, I am Lurk. I did not talk clearly the whole time that I thought I was talking. I am really trying to get my act together around world building for my friends and I's game that we play on probability of demise. Feel free to check that out somewhere. I'll post the link to our current. We have demisecast.com. That is our current thing, but we're going to be at probability of demise.com. We actually do have that up and running, but there's a little store there and everything like that. So if anybody watches this in the future, because I'm just talking to myself tonight, trying to get in the act of doing what I'm trying to do. That makes no sense. I'm going to be in World Anvil today using the tool to kind of figure out what's going to happen to the city of Overton. It has changed. I've been throwing out some things on a map, might have some redos on it. I'd actually just go for like a really good black and white noir-esque look for the map in the future, just because that's what I need. But I need the color to engage my brain. So I've already gotten started a little bit, but I'm naming neighborhoods, figuring things out. And if you've read the description at all, you know that I am looking at trying to get this city of Overton, which has kind of been living in the land of like, this is where the heroes came from, over to match the setting that we want to have, where things are going to hang a little heavier and have some more secrets writhing in the underbelly of the city. So I got to figure out how to transform this town from a post-apocalyptic magical wonderland into a noir bioluminescent tattoo forgotten libraries and at least illusionary neon-drenched stuff, street venues and junk. So I'm trying to go for like that noir situation, somewhere between like mystery theater sort of thing and like Blade Runner, but then we are also infusing some humor and jokes and bits and beats and things like that. So I'm going to focus on like the noir stuff today, just trying to like build things out, but then throwing in the other stuff. And this is all under the form of Dungeons and Dragons, which I do not think I said at all during all of my diatribe. So yes, this is a D&D sort of thing, D&D world building. I'm really trying to get my world building mind going. We'll be hanging out on World Anvil tab together. Trying to think of things like some sky citadels and labyrinthine undercities, which I might be designing today. So I might also pull out the map tool that I love. The whispering alleyways and everything kind of brick by, at least in terms of the map, pixelated brick. But in terms of the words, that's the true heart of what I need to figure out. So we're going to go for that noir vibes with a wink sort of feel. So like trench coats, fedora hats feel, and mysteries lurking in the shadows, but like a healthy dose of dark humor, you know, keeping things spicy. I have a hair that's flying over my head. I do not know why. And then also I want to make sure this is a world that feels alive. I felt a little bit guilty last time I let things go in the last mega situation of doing a 0 to 20 campaign. But I've already been thinking like, okay, there's going to be these ascended elites who are like semi-godlike, and or at least desiring to be godlike, down to the Cragside crowd, which is just hustlers and doers and thinkers, bioluminescent urchins to minotaur mobsters. So I want Overton to really thrum with a cast of unforgettable characters in this next thing, and we're going to stay in the city. I'm just not opening the doors to the city. So I'm trying to get that all set up, and I'm trying to get this sense of things like Overton is connected by these glittering shackles, but they are shackles. Or are they going to be able to break free of that, or are they going to succumb to the shadows of corruption? And then that's what the players get to play through a little bit of in terms of like solving these mysteries and these problems that are happening. So it's going to be a little bit more puzzle solving and a little less what it has been. So I'm thinking I'm going to follow. Each session is probably going to be like a 2-hour live play session. And I'm holding to like a 30-30-30-30 rule, which is not exactly what I normally go with. But when I say the 30-30-30-30 rule, as I'm looking at 30 minutes of our introductory stuff and just whatever reminders about what's happening and introduction to whatever's happening in terms of the mystery that they're going to be solving and like setting situation. 30 minutes of RP-ish space, 30 minutes of puzzle solving, and 30 minutes of combat. Now, that's not like they're going to be sequential in any way, but I'm just trying to like make sure that there's a nice solid balance. And I definitely lean more towards letting the RP happen. And I think so do my players, but they do enjoy the combat. They do enjoy puzzle solving and just getting a better setting. And I think the setting piece is really that's the onus is on me. I need to be a better narrator for the group. And that's everything from like narrating the combat to narrating the setting and the puzzles. And I just need to be willing to dig in and be a little bit more rich in that space. And also probably a little bit more consistent on things. Like if I choose to do accents, I probably need to write better notes, which is why I'm going to be doing this World Anvil deal. And I'm starting off with these live sessions with things that don't exist yet. So if you've always wanted to know what goes on behind at least this DM's brain when they're putting things together, grab your dice, tune in, let's build worlds, spark some magic. Get some secret ideas in there, and then some laughter to cut through the dark that it is going to be this world. I'm looking for anybody in chat at some point to just suggest some wild ideas for Overton's history and future. Really, like if you have a favorite noir trope, see if I can pull that up, or even just like D&D magic spells, items. Share those things, and maybe I should have dressed up. But I don't really think I have anything. I have a fedora that's made of straw. Could have worn that. Maybe I'll wear that next time. Anyways, magic awaits. The shadows beckon. Overton whispers. Let's dive into this little bit of world building. So this is the map side of World Anvil, and what I've already done is you can see I put the Cragside crowds in here, and what I wrote is that this is just like this in the history part, which I've already been kind of working on in the timelines. This is the first forays into Sky Cities, but it didn't really quite work out, and this space, the Cragside crowds, kind of floats just above the harbor, usually a little bit to the more to the left, but for map building clarity purposes, I cheated it over into the middle of the water so that it would be a little bit easier to deal with. But the idea is that kind of is chained down into Overton itself, and it just is this vibrant space. It's not lovely enough for the elites to live there in any way. So those who do live there, it's kind of like that I don't know. I think in New York City, to me, it's like where like Chelsea in the 70s and 80s, or just any of those neighborhoods that weren't great. I mean, later on, all of those neighborhoods became more gentrified, new buildings came in and stuff like that. It all shifted, but I'm trying to think of like cities where there's a neighborhood that's just a little downtrodden. If you're in the Portland, Oregon area, I really think of like the Pearl District before the turn of the millennium. Like an industrial, lofty space. You know, the people who live there do their thing. Crime's pretty high. And it's just a kind of ramble of a space. So that's kind of where I was going with that one. We'll figure out if I like that. And then I was thinking kind of on the opposite end, a municipal, and I wrote Sea Harbor. I don't really feel like that's what I meant to do. That was a municipal sky harbor. So when I wrote that title, I meant to do a sky harbor because this is where all the elites and the elite shipping things happen. So I'm going to just edit that a little bit really quickly like that. And that's the Overton Sky Harbor. And this has got to be a place, like there's only 2 docks on the map. And that's probably pretty much like kind of like the space that I kind of dream of it being in. Is this like airships fly in. It's just a whirlwind of this opulent and utility type of space. There's all these airships that are like sleek, beautiful vessels. They're not pirates or anything else like that. This isn't a pirate port in that way. Those would have to get in through other means, and then they glide off to all the realms of the overall Earth, and then disgorge their beautiful cargoes here in Overton, and just like a super magically powered space, Aether powered cranes unloading crates, levitating silks from other places, bringing them to the floating islands, which are probably the next thing that I want to talk about, is this idea of these glittering heights. And that's what I have right now with these just cloud based little icons here, is just that these are little citadels, and collectively are known as the glittering heights. And they're just this space of hedonistic excess is where the ascendants live, and they're just kind of living the high life all the time, because they have access to such great quantities of magic, and that's like the inequity of the space. And so up here in these floating citadels, not floating cities, because the floating cities have a whole different space, and I'm gonna use those as kind of like when I need to bring another city in and have big trade things. Ooh, I like that transition to the new music. I want to play with that. So I'm just imagining this is kind of like the most opulent of spaces. This is where you might get to the more of the punk noir sort of, or not punk, solar punk sort of feel, if somebody is ever into that. Not my favorite terrain, honestly, and I don't know that it will be my player's favorite terrain, but I want to have something from which the people who are oppressing others have a distance and therefore are a little bit clueless about what's going on down there. At any rate, those are the ones that I was thinking of first. And then I've got so much more. So I am actually thinking the Cragside crowds is actually mostly kind of hovering over near the Undercroft. So I was really thinking about this as a location, and the Undercroft I feel like just goes with the fact that this is the Cragside crowds floating over the Undercroft. And if like things weren't good in the Cragside crowds, they're definitely not good in the Undercroft. And that's kind of like where my brain went with this idea of the Undercroft. So, and what I'm thinking in specifics is we got the Undercroft, and the Undercroft is just this, so it's beneath the crag, and it's just abandoned workshops, and then it's also really how you get to what was Underton in our first campaign. And so what I'm thinking is it's beneath the Cragside. Actually, let's write this nicer. Shadowed by the really should have wrote that Cragside or something like that, so it would be a little bit easier to pick up. Hidden amidst abandoned workshops and forgotten tunnels, because I do want this to be the connection, or one of the connections to what was Underton. It's a hidden community of outcasts and those who prefer to exist. I think that this is like, if above is where like urchin pickpockets might be, and young professionals who just really can't make it in a better neighborhood are up in the Cragside crowd, which has like dangers. I can't spell. Disillusion. Thank you, computers, for autocorrect. Disillusioned mages might be here. That was what I was thinking. And artists. So like if above is like the people who are getting jobs, working some salary wages, but like at the crappy end of things, then this is like where the people who really can't make it happen are. I think for the title for this is just the Undercroft. I don't think I have to get all fancy with this. This is simple. And maybe I'll change the name later, but for right now, I think that makes sense. And I'm going to tuck that in as a major neighborhood for right now. We're going to make a new article, and we're going to call this the, I don't know. Do I have? I might not need to. What if I already have? I think I'm calling each of these. I don't really want it to be a building. I want it to be a settlement. Oh God, do I have to change the Cragside crowds? Well, we'll see. I think that makes sense as that. What did I do for this one? What type of location was this? Does it really matter? I have two things for the Undercity depths, but that's represented by an icon, which is, that works. That's fine. Let's go back. So if that's the Undercroft, then I think that this place in this circular space where the Sky Harbor connects is going to be where people with a bit more money but not ascendant money, this is where they hang out. So I think I previously thought this would be named the Crystal Cliffs. So I think I'm going to stick with that. This is people who, I don't know, they're well-to-do. They're not, and this isn't going to be a major location, but I think because I'm naming neighborhoods, I will use that medium text block for that. I'm not really sure I should have to replicate that each time. But what I'm thinking about this is that these are homes carved into the central cliff face. Oh, cliff face. And I'm going to say that it's, because it's crystal, sparkling apartments. breathtaking views. Like this is those who are ascending towards being amongst the ascended, but little do they know it's never going to happen. I mean, it could, I guess. I'm not going to say it's not happening, but their lofty perch. Okay, so let me reread this to myself and make sure. Carved into the cliff face, sparkling apartments offer breathtaking views of the city below. Artists, inventors, and scholars reside here, drawn by the inspiration and privacy afforded by their lofty perch. Yeah, this is definitely a mid-century accent sort of place. I don't know that that's actually... Whatever. I don't have a current location for this, so I'm going to create a new article for it. And we're going to call it the Crystal Cliffs. And sticking with settlement, I think. I think everything that is a neighborhood in this is going to be settlement. So there's the Crystal Cliffs. All right, so now I think I can get into some of the like. Oh, there's. Should I jump over to okay, so there's definitely the Cobblestone Commons as a cool name for this little zone here, and I think I'm gonna name it that. I think that's a fun name for a community that is just like quaint, your everyday people. And I think because it's not even really a full like neighborhood, I think it's like by default it became a neighborhood. Oh, and I want it to be commons, not common. So let's see, a quaint neighborhood of like, well, the cobbled streets. And let's just stick with this because this is kind of like my cover image today. I think maybe inspired this. And like just these half timbered houses. I guess they could be stone and half timbers or whatever. Okay, I like that. It's like artisans working their job or working their thing, and children. This is like they have. So I want this to feel like suburbia in a city, sort of, I guess. Oh, I like that. So like it's a haven of normalcy. Normalcy? I feel like this is the area where of what fostering a sense of community and familiar warmth. And I was thinking that there was going to be a group that's dead set against oh, I gotta think this through. Think. I was really thinking there's gonna be a group that was against the idea of all of this, but I think that their roots might be here. This is my okay, so I've been thinking that there's a group that does not want magic. They don't support. And maybe this is one of those areas where the street preachers proselytizing against magic come, because I think there's just a group here that are a prime target for that type of rhetoric. I'm gonna have to think about that a little bit more. And then, well, if these are artisans here, and this was going to be like where the guilds were and stuff, but wait, what if I did, because in the original sketch of the city, which I had turned the wrong way, if I did, I think I called it Alchemist Alley. What if I kept that name, even though it is the guild quarters? I like that. I like this idea of keeping an old name and having it become like just the name for an area that just has changed. It's the but the guilds would have been dead, so it's like the old guild halls. So I think this is where the pumpkin was, the pumpkin house. And so I think that what I'm going to say is, okay, so this is feeling not very noiry. But I think This might be humor. I don't really know. This is, I'm going to have to rethink this probably a little bit later, but I think it makes sense. I want this to be, I'm going to have to think. I'm going to have to think. Oh, shoot. Where did I stick that one? Oh, monkeys. Did I? Let's refresh the page. Refresh. I guess on the articles. I lost what I wrote. Shoot. Oh, there it is. Whew. There we go. Oh my gosh, that scared me. I didn't know what I was going to do. So I think that. Oh, and I need to keep. So I thought that this little section here with kind of like this dark graveyard look and feel would be where Tanzanite's church would be. But you know what? I think this is just going to be the temple district. And it's got this like verdancy to it is kind of what I was thinking. I actually wrote down verdant pathways weave through graves. Clerics. I don't know what I was thinking when I wrote this. I don't know how to spell parishioners. So yeah, I was thinking that this is like a lush little garden area full of temples, different religious orders, and they're being supplanted by the ascendants. So what I was really thinking is we would have the temple district and next to it as kind of like, ooh, here's the problem. Have the Ascendance Temple District. I need a name for that. I'm gonna be lame today probably, but I'm thinking, thinking. Okay, that makes sense. Oops. Did I do the wrong? I want that to be a label. Oopsie. There we go, Temple District. And then right down here, close to some of the Ascendance buildings in the picture, which is just mostly me needing a picture. I think we're gonna just be very on the news because they're trying to compete with the Temple District, and they're trying to take away the idea of the gods being gods, even though they've like probably legitimately met some of them. And so they've chosen to create their Temple of Ascendance. And I'm really looking at these Ascendants as being just people full of themselves. So I think it's not even temple, it's temples, because each Ascendant or group of Ascendants may have like created their own temple. And these are going to be like opulent buildings that are just empty all the time. So let's like really make them opulent. Gleaming white marbles, structures, house the empty words and deeds of the ascended. Priests and priestesses in immaculate robes offer guidance and blessings. To stumble into I just imagine it's like the tourists pop into these places thinking that these are the temples, and they're not. They're legitimately the ascended. Well, I guess maybe they want to. It's like I'm trying to imagine like if one of our super uber rich people. Oh, we had like people who built amusement parks named after them, and then people built amusement parks named after and dedicated them to people. So I'm just imagining that these are like those types of spaces where like some people intend to go there, and that's a whole different level of like, ooh, okay. And then I don't know, it's just I like this idea of the Ascendants just being so decadent that they truly try to get, or they have created a sense of like, oh, you worship me, and making people think that they worship them, which I think is super creepy. And I think that creepy vibe will play into the fun noir things, but also hopefully some humor. So I don't really know if that's going to work out, but I kind of really need to make the Ascendants just messy to mess with. We're going to have to write a whole article just on the Ascendants. And I think I'll have to link it from every single article that I write about their things so that I can always get there quickly. Well, where the heck did it go? Ugh, did it again. I don't... Do I want it to be that big? I thought I did that small. Oh, you know what I need to do is I need to get these all into groups. So I'm going to make a marker group called Overton Neighborhoods. Do I have to make a marker group? I don't remember how to do that. Do you know how to do what I'm trying to do? Oh crap, did it just tell me where right underneath it how to do that? Marker groups. Oh, I legitimately could have made this whole, yeah. So I want that. I want... Oh, you know what I need to do is I need a marker group for player housing homes. And points of interest. Points of interest. I don't think I need to get too crazy with it though. Let's see. Cool. I can make this. Oh, and I can have multiple. I should have known that I could do multiple, but that's fine. This is not. That's a point of interest. Temple District is a neighborhood. Glittering Heights is the neighborhood. This is a point of interest because it does lead to multiple neighborhoods in the depths. Cool. That was so much swifter than I thought it was going to be. I wonder, can I unmake things private all at once? I'm not ready to do that yet, but at some point, I'm going to want to make everything that I put in here public. I hope it's not a lot of work. Oh, and I want to do... Let's put Temple District here, and let's put... Where the hell is the Ascendants? Did I just lose the Ascendants again? I just lost everything now. Did I accidentally hide things? Oh. Let's not have things disappear for a while. Okay. Temple of the Ascendant's Temple District. Okay, and then we've got... I'm going to put a point of interest here. Pen, choose your pen type. I want a temple. Is the temple a pen type? Ooh. I like that icon. And we're going to call this the mausoleum. I don't know how to spell this. Of whispers. Mausoleum of whispers. And I think this is just this is just like a little treat for my players because they're I think this is just a fun little like what did I just call it? Mausoleum of Whispers. I like this name, but I'm not sure that I'm gonna stick with it. I feel like I've been kind of using that a lot. I'm gonna have to turn this on every single time because that's gonna be super annoying. I might as well not have used the marker groups. Is there a thing I can change? There's gotta be... I don't know how to make that. Whatever. So dumb. So dumb. All right, I was gonna throw in some other things here. Okay, we've got this area that I'm gonna call the Sylvan Heights. I think we're gonna just say, oh no, we want the label. Because this is where Trixie's family came from. And what I want to think about is that this is a place that has undergone some changes, but I need to be familiar enough that Trixie gets this. So what are we going to do with it? You know, I can really go pretty deep here at the Sylvan Heights because this is I need to give it a lot. So we're going to make this a medium-sized one because it does does have, and I think like mini cities, things have changed. And there will be like a museum to Trixie's family or something like that in there that would just be hilarious. And it'll be like all a nut mash crap that I can think of. So I think this is such an outlier. I want it to be druidy vibes. Communities. Reminds me of Forest Park is what I'm trying to get into. Okay, let's see here. Nestled amidst the bustling tapestry of Overton lies Sylvan Heights, a neighborhood where the whispers of winds through leaves. The whisper of winds through leaves. This is Mingles. A neighborhood where the whisper of wind through the leaves. Wow, I can't write. Mingles with the rhythmic pulse of the city below. Okay, that's good enough for the base stuff, but I am going to have to go deeper on this. And I think I may just have to let's see. I before E except after C except when it doesn't make sense. I don't know how this works. I want this to be a settlement because it's in the neighborhood group. Okay, so I have the Sylvan Heights. And I'm going to go... Why can't I... I made a new... Yes, I want to get into this a little bit. Okay, so I had... That Imagine, if you will, house is not built of brick and mortar, but carved from the living wood of ancient redwoods. Their gnarled branches stretch skyward, adorned with balconies overflowing with vibrant blooms. I think this is in fragrant herbs. I think that gets the tricksy piece. Winding wooden walkways, woven like intricate spiderwebs, connect these arboreal abodes, creating a labyrinthine playground for children and curious explorers. Do. That's a good start. Sunlight filters through the emerald canopy. So it's dark in there, dappling the moss. Carpeted pathways with a playful mosaic of shadows. The air hums with the symphony of nature. The chirping of unseen birds, gentle rustling of leaves, and the soft buzz of pollinators. I don't need that break. I don't think. I just needed to have. Oh God, I can just do paragraphs. Duh. Let me see. Can I fix that? No. Maybe I do need to use the break tool. Well, that's dumb. Okay. Yet, Sylvan Heights is not immune to the touch of the city. Enchanted lanterns strung from the branches. think I can take my whole note from before and rewrite this a little bit and then copy it in. I like the idea of this. I want to get kind of deep. Anybody who's lived in a city like I have and do and continue to do, you get those like I need nature moments. And now that I live in a city that has access to nature with such abundance, it's great. Flit. I like the word flit. I like the idea that these people might be the home of, and honestly, the supporters of the anti-magic league, but they don't think about some of their conveniences as magic. It's kind of like people who are who swear off technology but rely on it every day, or to even like talk about how they swear off technology. So like the Luddite movement sort of thing, like technology is anything that is not at least my definition of technology is anything that is not a au naturel, you came with it sort of thing. So, you know, a monkey using a stick, they've invented a technology to like dig out termites. And if there is this whole concept of magic technology or magically crafted technology is a bad thing, then they're at this weird juxtaposition of like much of their life is sustained by magic. So what specifically do they mean by magical technology being a problem? And I like this idea of this being the home of it. And so I kind of need this place to have like traditions. So life in Sylvan Heights. I'm going to have to do this with everyone or just this one. You know what? I don't think I have to do it for every neighborhood. Just the neighborhoods which I think just the neighborhoods I think that my players might be curious about. And this is more just an exercise on one of the neighborhoods to branch out, to fill it out a little bit more. Homegrown. I like this idea that this is like a space that kind of reminds me of like my trip to different places in Southeast Asia where like the smell of all the spices, and then there's also the smell of like the smoke that they're using to cook all the things that are, because it's like it's not a clean cooking situation where you have like electric stoves or gas stoves that are like so efficient that they're cooking clean, but like that there's this contamination of the cooking devices itself in the way the food is made, which just brings another layer to the sensory experience. And that just, I really like that idea of this place that is grown and in the trees is also threatened by the very ideas of like not, and then they also have like these levitation things, and you know, I'm sure you have your stodgy people who refuse and use the rope ladders and walk up and down, and I really like this messiness. Pollution and noise, threatening the delicate balance of Sylvan Heights, possessive ecosystem. Tensions sometimes flare between the nature-loving residents and those who yearn for the high magic, bustle, and convenience of the lower city. Okay, so I've got another height. The Undercroft is a low grove with temple districts. Both temple districts are low spaces. Is it okay to have this be a height? Maybe it's not a height, but just the tree height gives the height. I don't know. I think this is good enough right now. I don't want them to have harmony or anything like that. I want this to be like a whole situation where they're constantly struggling. Oh. I was wondering where I could get the... Parent location, Overton City is the parent. Founding date. Oh, this was like 95, the year 95. I don't know that I wanted to do the day that began. It's not a rune. I don't even want to figure these things out really. I might do these things later. Oh, I could really go into depth on this. Where's the save button? Oh. Holy crap, I got a lot of articles. Well, this is good to do though. It's like this is keeping me organized. I think I'm overall just happy with this right now. Let's go back to the map though. All right, we got the Sylvan Heights. I don't want things to disappear all the time. I don't think I'm going to name this neighborhood. I'm going to save that for my players. And then I think, yeah, this neighborhood I'll save. Cobblestone Alchemist. I think this is probably all the same neighborhood. Oh, this, the Whispering Bazaar. This is not so much a neighborhood as it is a I don't know why I keep using whispering. But this is a really cool place. We had the market. I think we called it the... I don't know. We had a good and a bad. But I feel like everything in that type of zone, like a market, has to undergo iterations. And it's been renamed. It has been renamed in the time since its origination, so to speak. But I wrote a really good note, I thought. Yeah. A labyrinth of narrow lanes overflowing with exotic wares and haggling traders, silken fabrics from distant. This is the place where, not distant. I love it. A labyrinth of narrow lanes overflowing with exotic wares and haggling traders. Silken fabrics from other realms gleam alongside enchanted trinkets and forbidden texts. Adventurers rub shoulders with merchants and courtiers, exchanging whispers of secrets and rumors of lost treasures. So I like that kind of feel for this. This is not a... We're going to go with a landmark. And we're going to go with the Whispering Bazaar. All right. I might have to come back to that to work on it some more. But for now, I think that works. And then I want to get the Skyway strip, which is what I wanted this place to be called. I don't remember why. Was there a reason why I wanted to call it the Skyway strip? Oh, I want this to be like the tavern district. So this gets to be like the club district is what I really am thinking of here. And it's going to be small because it's not really a neighborhood in the neighborhood zone of things. I mean, it is, but it isn't. And I'm going to repeat that for the title. And then I was thinking this is a place where thrill seekers gamble fortunes. Okay. Thrill seekers gamble fortunes on enchanted roulette wheels and test their luck against enigmatic automatons, seeking a shot at fleeting glitz and glamour. Party Heart of East Overton. Yeah. Okay, that's pretty easy. And then, oh, I wanted to do a terrible, terrible thing. I want to make this area okay, first focus, get your act together. This was the Skyway strip. Because this was where, this was where there was like a College of Artificery, but that died. And then what I really wanted to do is have, that makes sense. Okay, that works for now. I wanted to make this area where the university, where the seat of governance was, and also where Asher had his like thing set up. I want to call it the Hollow Council, because what I want to say, based on the history that I sketched, and maybe I should go back and review the history, and then I'll close out. Actually, I'm going to put two or three more things on this map, just so I have them listed. But I'll end tonight, and this writing session and this thinking session, this planning, world building session, with a the Hollow council, with a review of the history of that I've kind of sketched out, because I think there are some things that I might be forgetting, and I should probably review that each time. But I wrote that this was this like pretty impressive thing that just failed because the guilds took it over, and when they were overthrown, there was like a council established, but they didn't really get funded well. And then the Ascended Council, or like a council that doesn't, at any rate, they become known as the Hollow Council because they're just not able to govern the Cragside crowds, the Undercity depths. And it's just like, these are forgotten politicians. And I just like this idea of there being that happening here, but also I think it might be the actual location of another group. And that other group is the group that's trying to figure out the middle ground between magic and people's rights and such. So I don't really know for sure if that's what I want to do, but I think this is just like a really cool little idea that might work out. Okay, that takes me to the smokestacks. So like right up, and this is like another conflict point that I'm really excited about, is the smokestacks are really close to the Sylvan Heights. And it might be where the people of the Sylvan Heights got their like, let's get back to nature thing, but also just like a constant source of struggle, because this is an industrial area that's magic tech infused. Like people have jobs out here. They go out here. They're taken by levitating whatnots or something or other. And in the smokestacks, the smoke produced is the cleanest of things magically, but it's like, this is where gnomes work and dwarves work and artificers work. And I like the idea that this is, you know, not a major neighborhood so much as just like an industrial area. And so I just have this idea that like it's loud. It's far enough away from the Sylvan Heights that they still have their peace and quiet, but it's like getting the magical contraptions together here. And you just have like the alchemists, the engineers, and just the labor that fuels the city there. And then in contrast, although I do want to mark these ones up, I think that they're going to be weird though. I haven't decided what exactly to do with those. But this area becomes a different industrial area. And this other industrial area is going to be known for the magic junk that they're getting into. So I feel like this is just a geographic location because it's not really, I don't know, is it, maybe it's a landmark? We'll see when I think I'll do both as a landmark for right now. The smokestacks and here, come on, drag you over. Learning to do this was so annoying, but I did like this little green smoke because what I'm thinking is that this is, and this name might suck, but I'm thinking like the smokestacks and the ether weaveries, and just, I don't know. I like this idea of weaver. Did I not? Oh, that's not a real word. Weaveries is that's fine though. That's fine. Okay. So the ether weaveries are this magic pollution is happening here. Like they are producing artificery sort of things with like crystal prisms and conduits for resonating things, and like they're enchanting stuff, and it's for like everyday things. And I like the idea that they're going to make like utter crappy things that nobody really needs or wants, but are such conveniences that they become part of everybody's everyday life, like the things that we have in our world. There are ways to resolve needs simply, but sometimes we go a little overboard. Like, because I love sailing, I was conned into buying this little wafer for holding a coffee cup and stuff on top of, rather than just a nice simple coaster, because it looks like, and honestly it doesn't actually look like it that much anymore, but maybe, I don't know, but it's meant to look like line off of what you'd have on a sailboat. Of course, I was easily conned into that because that's something I aspire to and I identify with, and of course that just oy, oy, oy. But if I throw that in there, I think that gets me through. Let's pop them all back on so I can see them again. I think that gets me through everything that I wanted to get through for right now. I think I'm saving that and this little farms areas. Saving all of that for my players to give input and things that they need and want. Yeah, that's gonna work. Okay, so if I go back to my timeline, and I think it's this one. Yeah. So Tiamat just died. We just published the most recent session. Trixie's still in the wind. We got to figure that out. But the idea is that this is Atland post this emergence that happened with the fall of Tiamat, and that this whole era from before this first adventure to the end of this next adventure, maybe even beyond that, is going to be entitled the Magitech Era. And so I've had the thought that we have this Transcendence project that is this secret group that is trying to create a harmonious interdimensional society, both returning to but then there's those who want to return to a simpler life without magic and force everybody to not have magic. And then there's also the possibility of just chaos with the Ascendants because they're pretty tyrannical. And then like the next couple hundred years reveal that impact. And so we have Tiamat dying. And then right after Tiamat dying, one of the outcomes of the engineering feats and stuff such is this idea of living armor, creating these self-repairing and eventually sentient, possibly immediately sentient, but people don't know, suits that are worn by elite guards. And then because Nee was already experimenting with floating his tower, we have our first aerial cities. And that includes that idea of the Cragside crowds. It's kind of like a failed aerial city. But there are successful aerial cities that have just really been powered correctly, and their trade is flourishing throughout the world because these floating sky roads have been established, both because the cities that are on the move, but also because of airships and other things like that. And then just this over this course of the I would say it's probably the next 100 years, so 200 to 300, I guess. Yeah, that actually will really work. 200 to 300, these aerial cities kind of help create society again as they connect trade routes. And then we have just 100 years of these magi guilds that are in control of the aerial cities, but also in control of the most advanced magics, and they're controlling the technologies and trade. And these guilds want all magic users to be bound to them, but there are unbound magic users. There are magic users that don't follow this, and at the end of it's really the rise and fall of the magic guilds. But at 300, the guilds will collapse, and wild weavers who've become masters of improvisations kind of dismantle the guild's stranglehold on magic, and that creates a diffusion of knowledge in terms of what magic can and can't do. And then in the course of this, because this is the rise is what is happening at 200, and at 300 is where they fall again. But the unbound rebel. Maybe 50 years in, they're just really tired of being treated poorly, and they need magic access. And there's some who become really skilled, and they get dubbed the Wild Weavers, and that is a problem because they're exploiting loopholes in the arcane fabric, which is actually a lot of knowledge learning and growth, whereas the magic guilds are trying to stem that and control things. And then we have some magic infused resources because, of course, with these revolutions, there's now a bit of an arms race, but the rebellion resulted in some scarcity, some destruction of farmlands and stuff like that. But so crops are genetically enhanced through magic, and just like the spells make the harvest bountiful, and just create things out of other stuff. And then mining and other things that becomes important for those battle efforts is based on magic. I'm trying to think of other things too, but just basically resources like oil, industrialized resource gathering through machinery. Magic industrializes those same resource gathering experiences. And we'll work out the details at another time, but I like that concept of this industrial revolution is taking off. And as we get closer to the close of that century, they sent off their first interstellar exploration, just have a spaceship, sort of airship powered with elemental manipulation, and it tries to get to the moon. And I haven't decided if I haven't decided what that story is going to be and if it needs to be a story, because I'm just using it as backdrop. But if one of my players want to use it for their backstory, that they're the child of one of those explorers, or they're the great grandchild of one of those explorers, or whatever it is they're going to do based on age that they choose for their character, it'll be super fun. Or that they dream about going up and joining the moon colony or whatever. And then definitely the close, we're having a magic bio-augmentation where just magic is used to do all sorts of crazy things, and people are being healed through magic, and there's elemental resistances that are being imbued on people, and people are being granted telepathic communication. And I have a really creepy idea with regard to that'll fit the Noir theme of so sending stones, right? But where do sending stones come from? Well, maybe they came from a period of time like this, but they were giant plinths, and the plinths were all connected underground after having been created by magic. And there are people who their job, maybe originally they're enslaved to this, but then over time things shift, and their job is that they actually finally get paid for, maybe, is to be a relay conduit and to speak for someone on the other end of one of those tools. And they don't really, I have this creepy idea with it, where they have to give up their sense of self during the time that they're doing the work, but that you wake up from your shift and your voice is sore because the person on the other end was yelling at their spouse who's doing something inappropriate, or your face feels sore because somebody got so heated in the moment they slapped you, and there's a fee for that, and you're going to get a bit of a tiny bonus, but your boss just told you to take the rest of the day off. I'm kind of like this icky idea that I want to dig into. And then a teleportation network. I'm really thinking about how, as these cities build, they're getting reconfigured. My map got reconfigured from the original version, and just like short range portals linking major cities, travel changing. The aerial city's still working and still managing, but now that there's this short range portal situation, and I'm thinking the limit is like you can't bring a lot of goods through, but high priority goods can be brought in and out. It's just really expensive, magically speaking. And so just what does that do to change things? And then, of course, with the advent of these new technologies, the guilds just can't fight it off anymore. Things are changing. The wild weavers, who are now masters of improvisation, have dismantled the guild stranglehold on magic, and the knowledge diffuses. And then we get into the Magi suit uprising, which is, I think, links back directly to what I said up at the beginning of the living armor. So living armor has now, their use has been adapted so many times that now there's just these sentient constructs that are being used for labor, and they rebel. And there's alliances between humans and non-human. I didn't mean to write AI, but this was me being nerdy, and non-human. And I want to keep the name Magi suits because I feel like that's cooler than living armor, but it does give me that ability to have the living armor. The living armor is going to be, possible enemy or whatnot. So anyways, that's something I'm pretty excited about. And then we get into, where was it? Magic Suit Uprising. It's a war. Really, it's truly a war. It's 20 years of war, and that causes things to happen, including, if sentient suits have rights, then everybody should have rights. And there's a civil action towards, and it's an ongoing civil action, but there's a civil action towards free access to basic magic spells and tools, minimum standard of living for everyone. This is when I think those who've been locked into things like the communication stones get free of that. I think that some of them are even wild weavers who broke their stones, and that's where some of the first sending stones come into being. And then that just changes fundamentally how common and low magic members of society are treated. It's still going to be long ways to go. It's just like any oppressed people. It takes time. And then one of the things I was thinking about, there's this rumor, and there was this idea of sending people to the moon, but at the end of the war, the Magi armor and their allies, that these sentient creations actually establish a colony on the moon. I think that's a cool idea because maybe they were intended for that anyways, but now they just went and did it, and they're not going to invite the rest of the people up. So there's a little advanced machinery-ish, magitech-ish society up on the moon that's going to evolve separately. So then we have the Great Weaving, which is this idea that I thought has just recently happened in the time of when, not even just recently, so it'd be 150 years from where the players are at. And the people of Atland and beyond have unlocked the ability to manipulate reality, and they've really they've unlocked how magic works. And because of that, ethics and the consequences of what they're doing have really become an important dialogue. And then we have interdimensional travel, which is another bastion for adventurers to go and explore, and really opening up that type of space. So the early prototypes are being tested, and then just the dangers that happen in that, the gods who've been walking around on the earth but have their spaces, for the first time they're dealing with widespread infiltration of their private realms by those with means and a lack of self-preservation, because not all gods are going to be chill about that. And that links back to this idea of like these people who've done these travels and done this stuff have access to the highest levels of magic. They're continuing to seek to be powerful, and so they emerge as these ascendants, and they can manipulate the great weaving at a crazy, crazy level. These are kind of basically your level 20s. And so, yeah. And then we have an ascendant conflict where rival factions of the ascendants fight for control of the great weaving, and that threatens the fabric of reality. Things settle in. There's an anti-magic movement that picks up during this time, and that's what I was thinking about for the people in the Sylvan Heights, and also for the people in that other neighborhood that now I forgot, the Cobblestone Commons. Cobblestone Commons folks, because I was thinking that they might be areas where like that sort of sentiment can get traction. And this advocacy for a return to a pre-magic society, which wouldn't be realistic because once things are unlocked, it's hard to put them back. But there's that whole like push and pull there, and what does that actually mean? And then there's this idea of the Transcendence Project. And it's just this collective effort to achieve a deeper understanding of the Great Weaving beyond what was already understood to resolve the Ascendant conflict. And what I'm thinking is that the Ascendant conflict has moved from all-out warfare to a Cold War type situation. And the Transcendence Project are the secret organization that is trying to bring things down. And they're like, if the anti-magic movement is one side of the political spectrum, and the pro-magic majority is another side of the coin, and then ascendants are just like this weird other third piece. Then you have the Transcendence Project folks who are kind of considered moderates by everybody, and those who really support the Transcendence Project, they view themselves as scholars, explorers, and civic guardians. And I kind of like this idea that these are the people who really think that they're doing the right by the world, but they could be so wrong. And I mean, they could be right, but they could be so wrong. And this is a fun, conflict-ridden sort of space. So I got to work on the map a lot more and rethink some things, but I'm also thinking that my next time that I come on to do this, which will hopefully be tomorrow, I'm trying to make this an every night sort of exercise in world building, and I'm doing it live to practice doing it and holding myself accountable to the nobody that's been here. Kind of doing a video diary to nobody. But I think I either work on the articles for those locations and see if those spark things. And I'll do that if I'm stuck, or I dig into some of these political factions. And if I'm digging into the political factions, I try to figure out like how the various D&D folk may or may not fit in. I have a really good idea about what my end game is going to be, so I'm just kind of like, I have a BBEG in mind in terms of who's behind all the shenanigans with the Noir-esque mystery situation. And I'm bringing Grand's Brand's future progeny into this next campaign, which will be super fun. Well, I'm bringing the end of the line into the campaign. And I'm excited about this. It's going to be so much fun. Well, thank you for joining me. I don't know that this is ever going to be watched by anybody, but that's okay because I'm really using it to focus myself on some work that I'm really excited about. And I look forward to figuring this out. So, at any rate, if you watch this in the future, feel free to leave a comment. I will probably be great about getting back to it. I say unconfidently. I'm definitely intending to do that. I intend a lot of things though. And we'll see you in the future. Is there did I set up a going out? I guess this is my going out. If anybody has any claim-free music suggestions, this was a little too chill, and I think that's why I'm ending, because I'm tired, which is good. I need to go to bed. But wow, a little too chill.